Hey everybody, hope this video isn't going to be a too long of one, but get your notebooks out, make sure to write down the levels we're going to be looking out for and all the notable information I'm going to be going through. But here on the left, I already posted the video on the futures and the market, but these were a lot of the tickers in different sectors you guys asked for last week, so this is what I'm going to be looking for on this video. This is the trade floor tickers. So what I do on these videos, I just go through the TA routine. If you're interested in what the TA routine is, please check out the link below. That'll take you to a playlist in which it explains all of this more, but what this is us just creating a trade plan using the most simple and effective charting system, really. So if you haven't checked out any videos on this, please do so. There's tons of videos on this channel, so let's get into this. But let's start with NIO. So NIO is one of the big chat favorites. So what do we do on a TA routine? First step, you want to grab your range. So let's get a good high, and let's get a good resistance that turns support, so we can get a good bottom of our range. So we have a really good grip around price. Now we can go down to the lower time frames. Let's go down to the daily time frame, and what we're going to mark here, and you're going to see me do this in all of the examples I go through, is marking your emerging candles and your gap ranges. So if you want to mark that gap range and this emerging candle, awesome. What is an emerging candle? Emerging candle is a candle, and it's in simple terms, what you're pretty much marking is the top of your buyers. Pretty much marking the top of your buyers, but left to right. Price history helps so much. Price history pays. So that's what we're going to go off of. Also utilizing gap ranges. So it might be a lot of lines at first, but overall, when you get over to the smaller time frames, you're going to really appreciate how many levels you already have placed. So you already have the good left side of the chart. You shouldn't have to mark a whole lot more in the middle of the chart. Let's kind of zoom it out and see. As you can see, a lot of them as I marked were all right here, right? So a lot of them should line up over here. So you could see the bigger spots, kind of a big range here, a big range here, a big range here. So there's probably a couple levels missing, so let's look, but not make up levels. So there's a good support turn resistance right here that we can mark. Awesome. Let's move over here. Looks like you have a couple levels here we could mark. Get a good gap range there. Resistance, emerging candle. Looks like we got everything though. Awesome. Another thing too on the daily time frame is I really like to grab the ugly lines, as I call them in my chat. But what we do is we just kind of grab an angle here without making anything up. You want to grab at least 2 to 3 points on each side, just a couple ugly lines. And then on the 4 hour, you're going to adjust them. You're going to fix them up a little bit. So you can remove that. You can grab from here. I'll probably go from about right here. Let's remove this one. Let's fix it up a little bit. And then you can extend them to the right if you want, just to make sure they go all the way. So no matter how much time goes by, you can always see that. But let's zoom out again. Zoom in. And you can see we have about everything placed. You can see there's a couple levels missing here on the 4 hour. Whoops, I want to do that. Let's see. I see there's a good push up here, a drop. You can see price building up, and it kind of launched from about right here. What else lines up on the right side? That lined up with a pretty good support. So I'm going to mark about right here, about the midpoint of this big green candle, really. Awesome control point. If you guys haven't read about that, I can also drop a video on that very soon. Just leave me a comment down below. But let's see, is there anything else we can mark here on NIO? Let's go down to the 30-day, 30-minute. 30-day, 30-minute is awesome because it gives you the last month of price information. So you can see if you're missing anything on the smaller time frames, if there's a big resistance. But look here on NIO, looks like we got just about everything. If anything, there is a level about right here that I don't have marked. You can see there's a good resistance and then a breakout right there. And then way over here, you can see prices sitting on it. Sitting on it, and then it launches off it. So we have a very good level there. And it looks like we have a really good gap range here, a big wide range, I should say. So let's see if there is anything there. It looks like there is. There's a pretty good drop here, resistance, support, breakthrough resistance, like an 80% entry using the BB system, jump rope, jump rope, jump rope, jump rope. You can see this level is used a ton. And then just recently, a big support from Friday. So we're going to be utilizing that as a good level. So let's zoom back out again. Let's see, what else can we get for a trade plan? So it looks like everything. Now, going off of where price is right now, of course, when the next day comes, let's go look at another example real quick. This is what you will be adding when you go and have all these lines prepared. So to add on some extra day trade levels, you're going to want to add on the, sorry, I'm like all over the place, the pre-market low, so about right here, the pre-market high, your previous day high, and your previous day low. Okay, what is that giving? That's giving a ton of extra levels. If you haven't checked this out, I'll also leave a link to this below. This will be the second link below the playlist of the TA routine. This will take you to how we day trade. So if you want to learn about how this works, these are the levels we're going to be adding on to our NIO. So whenever NIO has its pre-market tomorrow, that'll be our true range. But what do we have so far from our current prices right now? What can I set? We can at least set a trade plan up. All right, so what would be a good break above? 44.10. That'd be a great break above. Would be a first great target. You can see there's a pretty good resistance right here with the good support. 44.60 would be a great second or first target, I should say. Okay, above that, you do have your previous day highs to look forward to. Okay, so we have our break above plan going. We have that written down. We're good. What about below side? We don't just plan for one side. It looks like below 43.45 looks really good for puts. A good main target would be these little peaks over here, these good resistances that were pushed up for their high of days, or even this 42.40. So pretty good size moves on both sides. 41.70 would be a great further target. Again, you always want to work on this step by step as a staircase type method. So of course, you're going to take that initial entry, yes, once candle closes with rising volume, but you also want to wait and play to those first targets. You don't want to just hold out all the way to the farthest target and make nothing. Okay, so don't be greedy. Sell to those first targets for a while, even for months. Okay, do this for months. Sell at that first target. Okay, compound those small gains for a while, and then build yourself up, not just your account, but also your confidence in the trading system as you go through this. So there's NIO. We're gonna get into the next one. I cleared these charts prior to this, so I didn't have to go back through and do it live in front of you. So you guys can see I am starting from square one. Let's grab the top of our range. Now I'm going to go a little quicker now that I've gone through kind of the more basic breakdown. Let's get our range. Let's get all of our emerging candles from the left side. And if you're someone who doesn't want to add all these lines, awesome. You don't have to. You just have to add them around current price. So you don't always have to fill up or flood your chart. I'm also going to mark a midpoint of that green candle right here. That's why I'm marking that randomly. All right, we got everything from that left side. Should have everything because that was a lot of lines. Let's just draw some ugly lines now. So you kind of had like a continuation back to that line again. And then it broke out, and now you're kind of looking at it as this little hill. So really big level just going off of that. This is a huge level. That's going to be an amazing break below. What would be a great first target? You have a good recent gap range. So for Tesla, instantly, without even having going down to the smaller time frames, you're already making a good trade plan here. And that's sometimes how it works out, okay? So I'm going to mark the top of that buyer. Let's mark that gap range there, even though it's already filled. So we have everything we need down the smaller time frames. Okay, yeah, so let's just make it from here then. We don't even have to go much lower. So besides adding our day trading system for the pre-market high, low, and previous day high, low, open, close, all that good stuff, what is really good analysis from this? So looks like below 696.40s, you can start looking for puts down to fill that gap range at 687. That's a really strong support though, so don't expect that to just be one target. That's why you always hear me say sell to that first target. Don't worry about going too far, okay? Focus on distance later, okay? You can scale out and all that good stuff later on. We'll learn about that more, but focus on selling to the first target. Below 687, yes, it ends up dropping further. You can start to target these peaks inside of this trend here. So I'd be looking at these two levels once this cracks here and once this cracks here. Then you can see it going to the major trend line. So that would be really good analysis for retracement to trend line. Now, what if it doesn't want to retrace? What if price ends up holding this little gap range here or ends up just holding right here and ends up pushing up? What can we look forward to? Well, it looks like above this big level here at 705.29, you have 709.75 to target. This gap range here from recent price action at 715, 718 from the bigger time frame, 730. So you have tons of levels and targets to look out for. So tomorrow, when we add Tesla to the watch list, you're going to be adding your pre-market high, your pre-market low. Whoops, sorry, that's not even close to the pre-market low. Pre-market low, your previous day low, you can see those line up about right there. You can see the big break below, ended up holding under middle VWAP, had a rise in price over sellers, and ended up closing under the level that we intended for. So you can see just for a day trading system, that's what we're going to be looking for. So tomorrow we'll be adding that to the watch list. Let's move on though. So those are the major levels for Tesla. Weekly time frame. Let's mark right there, just a little bit higher than that because I want to mark the true high, the meat of the bone. Let's mark that one, just to get a range. And just to focus on current price, let's just get the most recent peak on the daily. So we get our smaller range now, and we can just focus right here. We don't have to grab a million lines every time. That's just really for practice. So if you want to go back through all that and mark the lines, you definitely can. There's a ton of levels here. Midpoint of that right there. Mark the midpoint of that candle. Looks like we have just about everything. Sometimes you always have to kind of add some more here over here on the right, but we got just about everything already. So what are some kind of ugly lines we can draw? Not really anything on top. It's a strong double top. You do have a strong angle here to look out forward to. As you can see, price is actually 80% against that with a tweezer top kind of look to it with a bearish harami. But let's go down to the 4 hour now. Not much more we can draw on that. And it actually looks like we have every level we need. So just kind of going off of this trade plan, let's go down to the 30-day, 30-minute. So it looks like once price gets below 390s, price can look forward to the 380s. If 380s is broken, the price in which earnings held support at, it is definitely going to be tanking lower. So you can see pretty wide ranges here on ROKU. It can definitely make very big moves to the bottom side. Let's say price ends up holding. What can we look forward to? We're going to be looking above 400 to the 40350, 40750. If price ends up starting above all of this, that's going to be looking really good because that's going to indicate a kicker on this pattern here. So this could be a very big fake out. Okay, so what looks bearish, you see me saying the tweezer top with a bearish harami look to it, this could actually be a lowering volume, just move back up, a reset move. So I'm actually going to be looking at this gap range to the top side and below this candle's low for a bigger move. Okay, so there's of course going to be a bunch of trading within that, but the bigger move is going to be above that gap range or below this low right here. So look, we're going to be looking out for that on ROKU. Let's move on to PayPal. Get our top. Let's get a good bottom. Price is about right here, so let's just kind of focus on this area here. Let's get a good peak down here. Gap range, emerging candle, gap range. Emerging candle, gap range, emerging candle, and a gap range. This is a good support right there. Got recent trend there. Let's draw some ugly lines now. So you kind of had a break in price way up here. Price has dropped all the way. So how far has price retraced? So from this base support up to the top of the move, how far has price dropped? Price has dropped and held the 50% control point. That's very, very big. So I want to at least highlight that. So this area right here is huge. Big control point. If you guys have learned from us, we love playing the control points. But right now, what is PayPal doing? Against a very strong Fibonacci retracement. So against the 38%, price is showing a weak bearish harami. So this looks good for a short-term retracement. Let's say short-term retracement brings us here. What are we going to be looking for? Double bottom or a higher low. If that angle is made, we're going to start looking for the bigger breakout above that 280.50. So please set your alerts above that 280.50. That's the big breakout. But as you can see also, we have a good gap range to go off of just like these other charts. So we're going to be looking at that gap range. This gap range, we have tons to look forward to, but also all these other levels that we have set from the bigger time frame. So delete your Fibonacci retracement, and now you can kind of have a couple scenarios mapped out ahead of you. So besides the day trading aspect of things, this is what we're going to be looking at on the bigger time frame aspect of things. So let's break into Twitter, and then I'll get into TAN, the solar sector, and the financial sector. So Twitter, we kicked ass on this a couple weeks ago. Let's grab the bottom, grab the top. Or not even a couple weeks ago. That was literally like last week. Huge gap range. Can't forget that one. Oops. See, I almost messed up. Let's grab that candle's midpoint. All right, we got all that. Get a couple ugly lines. So kind of had a sharp uptrend here. Price retraced and is now kind of really holding a range. So really, this isn't a trend break. It's more of just a slowdown, a breather. So it did break, but then it instantly picked back up. You might see that on ROKU. That's why you saw me cover both sides of the story. So really, the entire trade is about midpoint of this candle here, which is actually used as support, and then the meat of the bone of these highs. So this is really where the bigger move will come from. So from 70.50 or below the 65.15 right here. But out inside of that range, what can we look at? So let's mark this gap range, or sorry, not gap range, that emerging candle. We don't have that marked. There's a good resistance right here too. It looks like everything now. Let's go down to the 30-day, 30-minute. Let's create our trade plan. So just from the info we have right now, without talking about the day trading aspect of things, with our pre-market high, pre-market low, and previous day high, low, open, and close, what can we see right now? Above 60, 70, 75, we can target these common lows right here from recent price action. Again, that's why you have to go down to the 30-day, 30-minute to create your trade plan. There is a small scalp target there. So yeah, you could break above right here and get into calls, but recognize this first target. Okay, above 68.15, you could even set as your break above, be a little more passive, and wait for this move. First target, 68.50, 68.75 area. Okay, what are we looking for below? Previous day low. Below 67, 66.50. Below 66.50, you have 65.80. See, this is the TA routine working for you. So please post all these levels when you can. But let's get into TAN and XLF. So lately on TAN, we've been talking a lot about the solar sector. If you guys haven't, please check out the most recent video on the Swingbot channel or the Bueller Bias channel. I posted on both channels. So please get to that when you can. Just marking a couple midpoints as well. We have just about everything, just from the amount of weekly candles. I only grabbed that many on TAN just because, as a sector, I do like to grab as many important candles as I can. I like to know all the important areas. So I'm grabbing all the big emerging candles on the weekly, recent price action, and on the daily. All right, awesome. Let's get a couple ugly trend lines. We can see we had a sharp drop. Then we kind of had a trend change play here. Price ended up breaking back up with this angle here. Price ended up breaking, and just like that other chart I was showing you, it isn't breaking trend to necessarily go back down to zero, but to form what is a continuation. So you can see good continuation right here. Price ended up breaking out and is now retesting on top. Now what are we looking forward to? Now we need to see, are we going back up and getting above this gap fill here? Are we going to hold on top of that and then break above recent price action? Because this is a big support here from bigger time frames. So if we end up breaking below this, you can definitely expect further retracement. Price ends up holding this and going through this gap range. We can expect this as a good head top resistance. We need to see if we're going to make a lower high or if we're going to break 88.50. Once we hold above 88.50, it's gone for solar, and we can look forward to this bigger peak right here. Once we get above 91, then we can start to look for higher levels. But right now, this is what we're looking at for the TAN sector, solar sector. So no matter what chart you send me, that's what I'm going to send you. Okay, let's go to XLF. This is the financial sector. So if you guys want to go through a lot of the banks, and let me show you guys this. Here's the solar sector. So here's all the stocks in that sector that we'll be looking at with TAN. And then for financials, XLF, which I'm about to go over right now, here's the financials. So that's what we'll be looking at. Come on. So let's just focus on this. Let's get a good range here. Oops. So the big reason I'm going to be looking at XLF and financials this week is because of this right here on the daily. So getting my range on the weekly, but you could see we do have kind of an angle right here that formed, and price ended up kind of jump roping and holding on top of for a while, and then it started moving back up. So I like the range that we're trying to break above right now. It's just the angle I'm looking at. I'm going to remove that. But let's add some emerging candles. Let's get the facts on the chart, just like our index and just like every chart before this. One of those lines is a little ugly, but it's okay. And a lot of people ask me, how can you get better at charting? This system right here, repetitively going through it on as many charts as you possibly can, so start with a small watch list that you like. Find a bunch of stocks you like. Get 10 stocks on your watch list and focus on those for a while and just repetitively go through them. And then not just before, but also after, review what happened with your levels. How did price react between your ranges, your levels? How did your plans work out? So please look at that. And then also go through all of our workshop videos. We have tons of amazing content on that. But now we have that. Let's get our lazy kind of line here. We have a sharp drop. And you can see you kind of have like a range trade here. Very ugly range trade. Didn't end up pushing up. So we're just going to leave it at that. So what do we have to look forward to here? So from recent price action, let me just keep that how it was. So from recent price action, we'll be looking at a drop under 37.50 to fill that gap, or a continuation above 38. Why do I say 38? Because that is a big resistance over here. As you can see, it's not just one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like 8, 9 candles touch that over here from recent price action when it pushed up and hit that all-time high. Not all-time high, but big high. So what are we looking at? We're going to be looking above 38 for continuation or retracement to this candle's midpoint. So mark that candle's midpoint. How can you do that? Let's do that right now. No excuses. Get your Fibonacci. You even have a halfway point tool on this stuff now, so if you want to use that, you can. But either way, mark that. And if you want to mark it orange so you remember that that's the control point, please do so. What is the control point? A control point is which price can retrace to and hold on top of, which we can look at for bullish continuation. If price ends up breaking this and our 37.60, we can expect this blue range to be tested on top of. If it ends up cracking 37.45, you can expect a gap fill test. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for the bottom side in case it retraces. If it doesn't retrace, we're looking through 38 flat for a continuation to 38.20 and even 38.50/38.60, which was the recent high. So that's what we're looking at for a bunch of financials. You saw the financial list. If you guys have any other tickers you want me to look at, let me know. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about this video. But yeah, thank you.